Welcome to the Cosmic Chosen Channel. Before the throne comes the trial. Before the spotlight, the silence. You've been wondering why everything feels so intense, so strange, so heavy, like the universe is pressing in on you from all angles. The answer is simple: chosen one. This world wasn't built to break you. It was built to prove you. Every closed door, every delay, every unanswered prayer isn't rejection. It's divine calibration. God hides you before He reveals you. He isolates you before He elevates you. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And if it feels like heaven has gone quiet, congratulations. You're next in line. Silence is God's favorite plot twist. His sacred setup before the supernatural breakthrough. Look at the pattern. Michael Jordan was cut before he conquered. Oprah was fired before she flourished. Even Jesus had 40 days in the wilderness, alone, unseen, and unheard, before stepping into purpose. If you've been feeling like your prayers are on read, know this: the angels aren't ignoring you. They're protecting the announcement. Most people panic in the silence. They self-promote, self-sabotage, or settle. But not you. You're different. You were born for this level of pressure. Why? Because this entire simulation, this storyline, this world was constructed as a test tailored for you. So don't rush the process. Embrace the quiet. Because when God says your name out loud, every dimension will hear it. First of all, the system is inconvenienced by your quiet, and that's the main point. The world is filled with noise, including views, gossip, news, and social media. People assume you're irrelevant if you're not talking loudly because everyone else is. However, God does the exact opposite when He is getting you ready for something significant. He drags you back. You are silenced by Him. And the reason that silence bothers others isn't because they care about you, but rather because they can no longer understand you. People start to suspect you when you stop sharing too much. They believe you've changed when you cease engaging in meaningless chatter. The same people who neglected you start to pay attention as you pull away. Why? Due to the fact that quiet is annoying. It makes folks wonder what goes on behind the scenes. In actuality, most people want to keep you predictable and don't want you to change. This world system relies on assigning labels to individuals. They can control you if they can define you. However, God removes such titles as He begins to change you. He makes it difficult to read you. Your silence becomes problematic as it indicates that you are no longer on their level. You're not as susceptible to influence now. You're not looking for approval anymore. And that puts people in danger who only feel strong when they are able to define other people. Your silence creates resistance because of this. They will attempt to drag you back into pointless turmoil. They will put you through a test to determine if you will respond like you used to. Some people will even feel insulted, as though your development is a personal jab at them. The reality is, though, that they felt at ease when you remained the same, since it gave them confidence that they didn't need to change either. They must confront their own lack of advancement now that you're headed in a different direction. For this reason, before elevating you, God silences you. It's to upend the system that used to control you, not only for your own tranquility. The quiet is dismantling bonds, changing environments, and getting you ready to become someone they can't ignore. Second, God modifies you during the stillness before releasing you to the public. A book is edited several times before it is put on the shelves. Even if the author has a strong message, It won't have the desired effect if it is published too soon and contains mistakes, weak areas, or underdeveloped concepts. In your stillness, God is accomplishing just that. Before releasing you to the world, He is editing you. You wouldn't last if God raised you up now, unadulterated. You would be crushed by the duty, the strain, and the criticism, things you wouldn't even anticipate. It's not that you lack skill, but rather that you're not prepared. When things go difficult, the unedited version of you still acts rashly, still looks for approval, still harbors resentment, and still has self-doubt. And if you bring those unsolved difficulties into the public eye, they will not remain hidden. Rather, they will be magnified. The exposure increases with the size of the platform. God is taking His time with you because of this. People believe nothing is occurring since they can't observe the editing process. They will inquire as to why you haven't made it yet, why you aren't making any moves, and why you appear so aloof. They fail to realize, however, that the more time God spends working on you in secret, the more influence you will have in public. Desperate for attention, some people speed their process, only to have their foundation ripped away. That cannot be your tale because God loves you too much. This quiet is preparation, not punishment. God is purging what would ruin you, fortifying what will keep you going, and honing what will make you unique. He's making sure that when your time comes, you change people, not simply make an impression. There won't be any question that you were picked, prepared for this, and sent with a strong message when He eventually lets you go. Third, you won't make it through elevation if you can't manage solitude. Many people believe that fame would make them better. They think that once others know them, everything will work itself out, including validation, love, and respect. However, the reality is that celebrity exposes you rather than heals you. Whatever weakness, anxiety, or insecurity you may be hiding will only become more apparent when you're in the public eye. God separates you for this reason before elevating you. He is ensuring that you can withstand the burden of where He is heading you, not being unkind. Elevation is a lonely place that most people are unaware of. They believe that becoming famous entails having more friends, opportunities, and supporters. In actuality, though, you become more aware of people's underlying motivations the higher you go. While some people will truly love you, others will only love what they can have from you. Some people will publicly applaud you while privately feeling jealous of you. And that loneliness at the top will shatter you if you don't learn to feel at ease being by yourself now. In this quiet, God is teaching you how to work without praise, how to have faith in Him when no one is looking, and how to live out your mission without always seeking confirmation. There will be days when people love you, and days when they turn against you once you become visible. You will be thrown around by every opinion, rumor, and change in public opinion if your confidence is dependent on their approval. Living that way is risky. Being alone is giving you an unwavering conviction in your identity, and calling that celebrity could never give you. You won't break down in public until you understand how to be strong in private. Fake allegiance won't be able to control you after you've mastered isolation. When you reach the pinnacle, God is ensuring that you flourish rather than merely endure. Because having the fortitude to stand, even if you have to do it alone, is what truly defines success, not having a large group of people around you. Fourth, the exile before the throne is God's silence. Being in exile is never easy. In actuality, it's a divine tactic, yet it seems like rejection and being rejected. God takes you away before elevating you, not to punish you, but to safeguard the things He is developing within you. He is aware that you will never develop into the person He has called you to be if you continue to live your life in the same way, with the same people, and with the same attitude. Take a look at Joseph. God promised him a throne, but before it came imprisonment, enslavement, and treachery. While thus the pit served as the division prior to the elevation. Joseph would have been adored if he had remained at his father's home, but he would never have been ready to rule an empire. To be able to function in the future, he needed to be taken away from the familiar. David was appointed king as a youngster, yet he spent years fleeing, hiding in caves, and living like a fugitive. He was being trained, not disciplined. David would have continued to think like a shepherd kid if he had assumed the throne right away. However, banishment erased the unprepared version of him. In your stillness, God is accomplishing just that. He's taking you out of situations that won't support you in the future. He is severing connections with those who only perceive your former self. Because stepping into your calling while surrounded by people who don't acknowledge your progress is the worst thing that could happen. They will restrict you, interrogate you, and imprison you in your former self. Exile is about alignment, not about loss. God is preparing you for something bigger when He leads you into stillness, not bringing you backward. Additionally, you will not only be prepared, but also unstoppable when the time comes for you to assume your throne. Number 5. You haven't yet perfected the art of quiet if you're afraid of being forgotten. Nothing puts your heart to the test like silence. Did they forget about me? Is a persistent worry that arises when the calls stop coming, the invites stop arriving, and the people who previously complimented you go on to the next thing. However, this worry is about you, not them. It reveals if you are motivated by a sense of purpose or by the need to be noticed. Because they believe that relevance equates to success, many people strive for prominence. Concerned that they would be forgotten if they go away, they fight to maintain their prominence by reminding others of their existence all the time. The fact is, though, that your effect was never very significant in the first place, if it relies on others remembering you. Being needed is what true elevation is all about, not getting attention. Furthermore, need is something that God creates, not something that can be forced. You will not need to struggle to remain relevant when God is the one uplifting you. Opportunities won't have to beg for you. Connections won't need to be pursued. The correct individuals will hear your name at the appropriate moment, thanks to Him. He will ensure that doors you have never knocked on open. He'll make your absence so noticeable that others will come looking for you, not because you asked for attention, but because your message is too strong to be disregarded. But you can't get there until you stop depending on approval to validate your value, until you believe that God is at work even in the quiet, and until you let go of the dread of being forgotten. Silence is evidence that God is separating you, not that you are unimportant. And when the moment is perfect, the people who really matter will be the ones looking for you. They won't forget you. 6th, God's Witness Protection Program is the reason for the quiet. God purposefully keeps you silent before revealing yourself, because if you are revealed too soon, you are attacked before you are ready. Even though you may not be aware of it, there are forces at work, jealous individuals, and spiritual opposition whose goal is to prevent you from even beginning. The stillness is a sign of heavenly protection, not rejection. Consider this. All of God's great acts are concealed until they are made public. Before Moses could be brought into Pharaoh's home, he was kept in hiding for 3 months. Before his 3-year mission transformed the world, Jesus lived in obscurity for 30 years. The requirement for protection increases with the size of the calling. The one thing that God intended to elevate you might demolish you if He places you in the limelight too soon, before you've developed the fortitude to handle the strain. The discussions that go on behind your back are unknown to you. Envy that has been passed off as friendship is invisible to you. Before you begin, you don't hear the schemes being hatched to undermine you. However, God does. Additionally, He conceals you rather than allowing you to enter a conflict defenseless. He keeps you under the radar and out of the spotlight until your foundation is unbreakable. This explains why certain possibilities don't present themselves as planned. Not all connections occur when you expect them to. Certain platforms don't launch as quickly as you might expect, because you would be entering a combat zone without armor if they did. God's silence serves as a shelter rather than a postponement. He's making you spiritually impervious so that no weapon used against you will be successful when you do step out. By the time people see you, they will see more than just you. They will recognize the force of God that made you untouchable, kept you concealed, and fortified you in quiet. Seventh, in a world that only sees, your quiet is teaching you to hear. Our society is fixated on what can be observed. Success is measured by looks, likes, following, and numbers. It must be excellent if it looks good. However, God has a different system. He functions by sound rather than sight. Because of this, trust is acquired through hearing rather than sight. And for that very reason, He silences you before elevating you, because what you see later will rule you if you don't learn to hear Him now. Take a look at how many individuals fail after they get famous. They climb swiftly, but those who once applauded them rapidly turn against them. They also respond to everything they see since they were never taught to hear. They want praise, then falter when criticized. Instead of acting with conviction, they follow the herd. They were never trained to hear God's voice above all else, so they let other people's opinions to guide their choices. God is getting you ready for clarity rather than visibility. He is teaching you how to listen, reducing distractions, and removing you from the cacophony. It could seem like nothing is happening at the moment, no significant chances, no acknowledgement, no progress. However, something more significant is taking place in this quiet. Your spiritual ears are being tuned. In a world that only reacts to yells, you're learning to hear His whisper. This explains why some people collapse after being exposed too quickly. They only learn to move when there is confirmation. They never learn to navigate without sight. They are therefore gone the instant that is taken away. Not you, though. Because when God is finished with you in this season, His voice will guide you rather than praise or rejection. And it is the type of person who endures rather than simply rising. Number 8. Silence guarantees you're speaking something worth listening, and fame is an amplifier. Celebrity enhances your inherent qualities rather than altering them. It won't offer you knowledge if you don't already have it. It won't help you recover if you're insecure. You won't get deep if you're shallow. Fame only makes the music louder. God therefore takes His time putting people in the spotlight. He starts by making them sit quietly, because you will have nothing important to say in public if you lack substance in your private life. God is making you go deeper right now. When the microphone is in your hands, He's making sure that your comments have power. Not just thoughts or catchy phrases, but something that changes environments and changes people's lives. Too many individuals seek celebrity in the hopes that it would give them meaning. However, upon there, they discover they have nothing of value to contribute. Desperate to remain relevant, they recycle the same meaningless phrases and turn into echo chambers of what has already been stated. God is making sure that isn't your tale. He is silencing you because of this. He is training you to see past appearances, to hear past noise, and to get understanding that can only be gained by spending time with Him. He is strengthening your spirit, honing your viewpoint, and broadening your intelligence. Because when you do talk, it will be felt as much as heard. Some people climb quickly and fall even faster because of this. Although they were in the spotlight, their statements lacked substance. Nothing changed as they spoke. They lacked authority, but they had a stage. However, God elevates those who carry something everlasting rather than those who are only there to be seen. And when He ultimately places you in the right place, your voice will do more than simply make noise. It will bring revelation, burst bonds, and rock the world to its core. You who can't stand the spotlight is erased by God in the stillness. Number 9. Would you live if God granted you all of your current prayers? Not just physically, but also psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally. The majority of individuals believe that since they possess the gift, the vision, or the calling, they are prepared for fame. However, character is what keeps you in the limelight, not skill. In actuality, there is a current version of you that would fail. You still behave too hastily, get upset when others don't recognize you, and feel the need to prove yourself to individuals who didn't believe in you. That version continues to clap back at every insult, waste energy attempting to change people's opinions, and cling to the desire for approval. You would be destroyed by the strain alone if that version became the center of attention. You would be shaken by the criticism. You would be broken by the treachery. You would be controlled by the fame. And God is making you keep quiet because He loves you too much to allow it to occur. This season is about transformation, not punishment. The insecure, approval-seeking, easily agitated version of yourself dies in the stillness. God removes the behaviors, attitudes, and feelings that might jeopardize your future there. He's teaching you to quit justifying yourself, to let things go, and to concentrate on the important things. The healed you, not the defensive you, the version of yourself that doesn't have to answer every critique, because you're too busy living in purpose, is what you need to show up when you step into your calling. This season seems uneasy because of this. The aspects of you that fame would only reveal are being confronted by God. The drive for vengeance, the need to protect oneself, and the need to be loved are all being broken by Him. Because you will be more than simply visible when the time comes. You will be unstoppable. And the version of you that takes the stage will not just endure the spotlight, but flourish in it. 10th, before He gives you influence, God is determining whether you have an attention addiction. Although most individuals believe they seek influence, their true want is attention, and the difference is enormous. Influence changes lives, alters communities, and has spiritual weight. In contrast, attention is meaningless. Although it seems nice at the time, people who rely on it are controlled by it. God must thus examine your heart before elevating you. Because genuine influence won't last if you require praise to perform. You'll be a puppet, doing as the mob pleases, too scared to speak up for what's right, for fear of losing favor. God uses silence to cleanse the soul. It pushes you to see yourself clearly and removes the noise, likes, and confirmation. If no one is looking, do you still feel important? When there is no audience, can you still move confidently? God won't allow you to have influence while you are a slave to views if stillness causes you to feel anxious, or if you start to doubt your value because you aren't getting enough attention. He pulls you aside before promoting you for this reason. He is ensuring that your identity isn't based on praise, that your heart is pure, and that your motivations are honorable. Because the pressure will start as soon as you enter the public eye. People will love you one day and then destroy you the next. If you have an attention addiction, you will either compromise yourself to be relevant or retreat in dread. You lose in any case. God isn't interested in producing individuals who are only there to be seen. Rather, He wants to produce people who have an everlasting purpose, are unaffected by views, and are capable of standing on their own 2 feet when needed. He is now examining you because of this. You won't be simply another name trying to get attention when He eventually gives you influence. Instead, you'll be a leader who remains unhindered by the eyes of others, a force that cannot be subdued, and a voice that cannot be hushed. 11th, God won't reveal kingdom secrets to you in public if you can't keep them in private. God only divulges secrets to people He can trust. He doesn't disclose intimate details with strangers. Furthermore, trust is tested in private rather than in public. Why would He entrust you with disclosures that may change countries if you can't protect what He tells you in private? Because they haven't fasted, studied, or prayed enough? Some individuals believe they lack insight. In actuality, however, it's because they talk excessively. God whispers things to you in private, for your own personal growth, rather than for the whole public to hear. However, some individuals are eager to impress, anxious for approval, and want to appear spiritual. As a result, they leak whatever they hear. Before they even comprehend the divine downloads, they transform them into social media postings. They race ahead of God and make premature announcements after catching a peek of their destiny. However, revelation is offered for effect rather than attention. Additionally, He won't trust you with the important things if you treat the little ones poorly. Silence serves as a test. It's where God keeps an eye on your actions about His whispers. Do you value them? Do you first allow them to transform you? Or do you distribute them right away to gain influence? Because they haven't mastered the discipline of concealment, some individuals never experience full depth in God. They believe that every heavenly insight, prophecy, and vision should be shared. However, only those who know when to speak and when to keep quiet are granted access to kingdom secrets. This explains why certain voices are unheard. They talk a lot, yet nothing changes as a result of their words. They have never been trusted despite their loudness. However, God gives people access to things that no one else can hear when He chooses someone who can remain silent during the appropriate times. And since they have been tried, validated, and confirmed to be reliable with the secrets of the kingdom, their words not only inform, but also alter when they do speak. Number 12. The adversary entices you to promote yourself by using delays. Avoid falling for that. The waiting phase is one of the riskiest times before to elevation. It's the period of time when nothing seems to be happening, when things don't seem to be moving forward as quickly as you had hoped, and when the promise seems far off. Many individuals fall prey to the enemy's seductive suggestion amid the silence. God is taking too long. Do it yourself. They begin to search for shortcuts. Instead of waiting for heavenly possibilities, they create them, push themselves into spaces they weren't asked into, and force interactions. However, they are unaware that self-promotion is usually expensive. You are also stepping outside of God's protection when you do not follow His timing. You may get more visible, but you won't be stable. You may attract attention, but you won't last. Because you will also need to maintain yourself with your own power if you have to push something. Silence from God is a test. He is keeping an eye on you to see if you have enough faith in him to allow him to declare you. He wants to know if you think his timing is ideal or if you'll handle things yourself. This test was required of all the great people in the Bible. After being crowned king, David waited for God to place him on the throne rather than promoting himself. Joseph dreamed of being king, but instead of pushing his way to the top, he allowed God to raise him when the time was appropriate. Those who pass this exam endure rather than just climb. The adversary is aware that too much exposure might ruin you. He pushes you to proceed too quickly because of this. He wants you to enter a limelight for which you are unprepared so that you would fall under the pressure. But God will make sure that when you are exposed, you won't just be seen. You'll be unstoppable if you can withstand the stillness and fight the impulse to brag. Because no one can stop what God declares. 13th, when you have a platform, your silence is teaching you what not to say. Words have destroyed kingdoms and created empires. They have overthrown giants and promoted leaders. Most individuals lose their influence because they didn't know when to be quiet, not because of what they did. One thoughtless remark, one angry outburst, or one needless reaction might cause more harm than years of diligent effort. God is therefore teaching you in quiet so that you won't ruin yourself with your own words while the world is watching, rather than merely preparing you for visibility. God teaches you the importance of your words in the school of silence. At the moment, you may feel compelled to address every mistake, defend yourself when others misunderstand you, and provide an explanation for your silence when others misunderstand it. But you're learning to be restrained from God. He is demonstrating to you that not all arguments are worthwhile, not every criticism is deserving of an answer, and not all ideas require expression. Because reckless speech will have far more serious repercussions once you do get a platform. Because they never learned when to keep their mouth shut, many people have ruined their own influence. They responded too strongly, talked too fast, or disclosed too much. They didn't understand that certain things are supposed to be digested quietly rather than shared publicly, and they mistakenly believed that transparency equated to knowledge. They wasted chances that should have been theirs because they allowed irritation to speak instead of patience. God is keeping you in this silent season for that reason. He is cultivating your knowledge, judgment, and capacity to see the significance of time. Because when you do talk, your words will be arrows that strike precisely where they need to be, not simply noise. Because you learned silence before you ever mastered speaking, you will be strategic, purposeful, and strong when you eventually have the attention of the world. Number 14. You've already lost if you depend on the sounds of the outside world to feel alive. You won't last in the spotlight if you can't take stillness. The world deceives individuals into believing that loudness equates to importance, praise, recognition, and approval. What occurs, though, after the noise stops? What happens if everyone starts following the next name, fad, or sensation? If you base your feeling of value on the amount of attention you get, you will disintegrate the instant it is taken away. God pulls you into quiet first for this reason. He's showing you how to be whole without a crowd. He is eliminating the need for outside validation so that you won't be shaken by their approval or lack thereof when the world eventually looks on. Too many individuals pursue celebrity without understanding that it is a whimsy. Tomorrow, the same people who applaud you now can turn against you. You've already lost if you depend on their loudness to make you feel alive because you've given them the authority to determine your value. Take a look at those who have been wrecked by fame, not because they lacked intellect or diligence, but rather because they were never taught how to live without attention. Applause was the foundation of their identity, and they vanished along with it. However, God is creating you to last, not to be just another name that comes and goes. This season of stillness is therefore essential. It's preparation, not punishment. He's asking you right now, are you happy with me alone? When no one is applauding you, can you still be at peace? When no one is looking, can you still go forward? The silence won't end just yet if the response is negative, because God will not place you in a world that may shatter you. By the time you enter the public eye, He's ensuring that you'll be safe and not simply noticed. One thing will always be the same, regardless of whether others listen to you or not, give you praise or criticism. You won't be moved. Silence is shelter, not punishment. It's heavenly preparation, not a delay. You are essentially being shaped for everything that will happen by every moment you spend in obscurity and every season when nothing seems to be occurring. God is getting you ready for the platform, not only for the platform. Because promotion without foundation is a recipe for failure. Visibility without insight is a trap. And influence without integrity is perilous. God removes the version of you that can't handle the limelight during this time of stillness. He refines your motivations, puts your heart to the test, and teaches you truths that fame can never impart. When the world eventually hears your name, He's making sure that your voice won't be simply another sound in an already noisy world. Rather, it will be an unstoppable force. The weight of it causes many to collapse as they surge into visibility. But since you put up with the stillness, you won't. You allow God to prepare, discipline, and work on you. And when He does eventually make the announcement, it won't be rushed, or flimsy. It will be amazing. Don't hate this season then. Don't allow impatience lead you to give up, frustration lead you to promote yourself, or insecurity lead you to seek attention. You will be sustained later by what God is constructing in you today. And you won't only be recognized when the time comes, you'll be prepared. Don't keep this message to yourself if it resonated with you. To ensure that you never miss what's coming next, click the subscribe button and enable alerts. To let us know you're here, please like this video. Tell us what struck a chord with you the most in a comment. Above all, make sure someone who needs to hear this hears it. You never know whose life you could affect simply by sharing this. Together, let's develop. Together, let's raise. And in God's time, let us move confidently. See you at the following one. May you be blessed.